shows Ernest Hemingway as Algernon Moncrief sitting in a Victorian country home as he receives a knock on the door. He opens the door and it's Jim Varney. Hemingway.
Hello, Ernest.
Varney. Well, howdy, Algernon. Looks like the sun also rises here, eh? Varney elbows Hemingway. Hemingway rolls his eyes and says,
Very good. Why are you here? I thought you were going to camp.
Varney. Well, I traveled across the river and into the trees to come here and propose to your cousin Gwen. Varney drops the cigarette case. Hemingway picks it up, reads the inscription and says,
I'm sorry, Jack. I can't consent until you explain why this inscription says, From your little harlot Cecily, with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. Plus, I thought you were busy saving Christmas.
Varney. Well, I must admit, I'm living a bit of a double life. In the country, I call myself Jack in order to bang my hot teenage niece, Cecily. But when she gets clingy, I tell her that I have a piece of shit cousin named Ernest in London that I have to take care of. Then, when I'm in London, when I want to get into some other high school chick's Garden of Eden, I say my name is Ernest. Hemingway. Well, I must admit that I myself, when I want to go ravish some teenage girls, I pretend to have a mentally disabled friend named Conan that I have to go visit, so I don't go to jail. Barney. Oh, I've been there. Anna Karina is Gwen, and Lucille Ball is Gwen's mother. Lady Bracknell enter the room. Ball starts ringing the bell. Hemingway. For whom the bell tolls. Ball. You drunk. Please join me upstairs. After Ball and Hemingway leave, Barney turns to Karina, gets down on one knee and asks, Will you marry me? Karina. What is your name again? Barney. Ernest. Karina. Really? I love that name. Sure, why the hell not? Ball comes back down the stairs and says, Marriage? Now, I don't want no scrubs unless you're a doctor. Do you derive from wealth and prominence? Barney. Well, I guess my parents decided to go to Africa or something. They left me in a handbag at Victoria Station. Ball. Yikes. Maybe I'd make an exception if you were Cuban, but this is not happening. As Ball leaves, Karina whispers, Ugh, she scares me stupid. Of course I can't wait to ride again. As Varney gives Karina his address, Hemingway surreptitiously re-enters the room and takes down the address on the cuff of his sleeve. Then cuts to a Victorian study where Chesley Christ, as Cecily, is studying. Hemingway barges into the room. Hemingway.
Greetings, Cecily. You look extra lovely for such a young girl.
Christ.
Thanks. Do I know you?
Hemingway.
I'm your Uncle Jack's cousin, Ernest, and I really want to dip my old man into your sea.
They begin to kiss. There's a knock on the door. Christ. Just a minute. Hemingway.
Shit, that could be the cops. I got a split. Do you have any guns I can borrow?
Chris grabs him 2 rifles from the closet and says, I suppose this is a farewell to arms. Hemingway.
Very good.
Hemingway leaves through the window with the 2 guns. Chris opens the door, and it's Varney and Karina. Chris goes to the window and yells, It's not the cops. You can climb back up. Chris.
Hey, Uncle Jack.
Karina. Jack, I thought your name was Ernest. Varney.
Shit, I should have thought this through.
Chris. Ernest? I myself just met Ernest. Hemingway climbs back in through the window, and as he does so, one of the guns goes off and strikes him in his knee. On the ground, Hemingway says, Oh, no. This is turning out to be a dangerous summer indeed. Lucille Ball enters the room and says, Jack, why are you writhing on the ground? I thought death was in the afternoon. Hemingway gets up and says, I'll be fine. I'm now engaged to this beautiful Miss USA. Ball. I'm sorry? We're more of a Miss Universe family. Hemingway. Don't worry, she has money. She didn't lose it all in the 1933 Cuban Revolution. Ball. Very well. Varney, with his arm around Karina, faces Ball and says, now wait just a minute. I'm not agreeing to that pairing unless you agree to me marrying this piece of ass here. Karina, it's Gwen. Varney, right. Gwen, whatever. Vivian Vance is Miss Prism. Walks in and says, okay, are you ready for your next lesson, Cecily? No overreacting this time. Ball, hey, I recognize you. Vance, no shit. Ball, no. I mean, you're that nut job who 28 years ago took my baby nephew for a walk in a stroller and never returned. Vance, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You know, I just started to read some schizophrenic novella, and I ended up leaving the novella in the stroller. I left the baby in a handbag at the Victoria Station. Whoops. Varney, now wait a minute. This is scaring me stupid. What a coincidence. I also was left as a baby in a handbag at Victoria Station. Ball, well, Sherlock, once you figure it out, I'll let you marry Gwen. Karina, absolutely not. I will only marry a man named Ernest. Ball grabs Barney's shoulder and says, well, my nephew here's father was named Ernest, who was in the army, and he named his son Ernest. Karina, oh, thank God. As Anna Karina starts to do a striptease, Barney begins to hoot and holler. Ball, are you okay there, nephew? You seem to be displaying signs of triviality. Barney, on the contrary, I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest. And live from Tom's phone, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Live, starring an ever-evolving cast that is unionized and refuses to allow their names to be mentioned until their demands are met. Musical guest, Aaliyah, and your host, Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ. Applause, applause, applause. Christ. Thank you. I was on the fence about appearing on this program, but my father, God, I'm sure you've heard of him. Anyway, my father reminded me that what you do for the least of your brothers, you do for him. So here I am, helping Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy, of course, likes to joke that he is the Messiah of the Jews. After that whole Whoopi Goldberg incident, Mr. Murphy can have them. Yikes. Okay, no, I'm kidding, Jewish people. It's never too late. Don't be afraid to delve into the Jews for Jesus literature out there. But either way, I love everybody. George Carlin comes out and says, well, Jesus Christ, look who it is. Jesus. That's right. Carlin, I just heard your monologue and I got some advice for you. Maybe you should go see a shrink and stop doing things just to please your father. Christ. Well, if you insist on getting into my business, Curious George, I assume you want to complain about me some more like you were just doing backstage? Carlin, well, look, Jesus, you seem like a very nice guy, but I've always been a little suspicious that your old story was some bullshit the Holy Roman Empire made up to keep everyone in line. Christ, is that right? Carlin, that's correct. Oh, did the government come by and confiscate your land, steal your animals, and knock up your wife? Well, listen to our hippie friend Jesus here, who tells you it's okay to be a poor, hopeless bastard. Just turn the other cheek and everything eventually will be fine in some fairyland in the clouds. As long as you continue to support the church with whatever little money you have. That, and I'm not convinced that you are actually any more divine than me. Christ. Well, you're right about the last part. But I just want to take a moment and say rest in peace to Australian aerial skier Brittany George, as well as Berkeley basketball star Gene Ransom. George and Ransom come out. Applause, applause, applause. Carlin. Well, that was pretty nice of you, Jesus. But what did you mean when you admitted you were no more divine than me? Are you admitting you're not really the Son of God? Jesus. On the contrary, George, I agreed I'm no more divine than you. You, me, and everybody else are all descended from God, and thus we're all divine. Carlin. Okay, buddy, spent some time in Catholic school. Therefore, I know everyone isn't divine. Take those assholes who buy self-help books. How can you say someone who reads a self-help book is divine? That's not self-help, that's help. There's no such thing as self-help. If you did it yourself, you didn't need help. Jesus.
George, whether you or I are divine or not, who gives a shit really? Why not just try to follow my example by trying to be a nice guy?
Carlin. Huh. Well, I guess I'll have to try that sometime. Jesus.
Good luck with that. No, I'm kidding. George is great. Anyway, we have a great show tonight. Aaliyah is here, who started her musical career with R. Kelly when she was 14. But I'm not judging. After all, as long as there's grass in the field, age ain't nothing but a number. We'll be right back.